All right, let's talk about the final boss of pretty much any piece of writing, the conclusion. It's almost always the hardest part to get right, but here's the thing, it's also the most powerful. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to craft an ending that doesn't just stop. We're going to make it stick.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You've spent hours, maybe days, building this amazing case. You've laid out all your points, everything is perfect, and then you get to that last paragraph and you just hit a wall. You're just staring at the cursor, thinking, how do I wrap this up without sounding like I'm just repeating everything I just said? It's a totally universal struggle, but it really doesn't have to be.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about what a conclusion isn't. Then, we'll get a whole new perspective on what its real job is. After that, we get super practical with 4 core moves you can use every single time. We'll also cover the big mistakes to avoid, and finally, we'll see how it all comes together to make your writing truly matter. Okay, first things first. If we want to write a great conclusion, we have to understand what a bad one looks like. So let's dive into some of the most common traps that lead to those empty, unsatisfying endings that just leave a reader feeling meh.
You'll probably recognize some of these. You've got the boring summary that just lists what you already said. There's the, oh, one more thing ending where you drop in new evidence at the last second, or the generic cliché moral of the story. And my personal least favorite, the apology, where you basically say, sorry if this was complicated. Yeah, these are the habits we're here to break, starting now.
So if that's what we shouldn't do, what exactly is the goal? Well, this is where we need a bit of a mental shift. A conclusion isn't about winding things down. It's actually about lifting the whole thing up. I love this quote because it gives us the perfect way to think about it. Imagine your essay is building a house, brick by brick. Your conclusion? That's the moment you and the reader step back across the street, look at the finished house, and you say, look at what we built. Here's why it's so important. It's not a list of the bricks, it's the grand architectural tour. And that's really the heart of it. A conclusion is where you finally explicitly answer the reader's biggest question. So what? It's the one place that's dedicated entirely to meaning, to importance, to impact. This is the moment your writing stops just being informative and actually becomes transformative. Okay, with that new perspective locked in, let's get practical. This isn't just some abstract idea. It's a repeatable formula. There are actually 4 core moves you can learn that will help you build an impactful conclusion every single time you write. So these are our 4 pillars. First, you're going to revisit your main idea, but with fresh eyes. Second, you name the stakes. You tell us why this actually matters. Third, you bring it home by connecting it to your reader's world. And finally, you leave them with something new to think about. Let's break each of these down. Okay, move 1 is so important. You are not just repeating your thesis statement. Just look at the difference here. The weak version is a dry definition we already got in the intro. The strong one? It's so much richer. It shows us what that definition looks like after we've gone on this whole journey together. It shows arrival, not just repetition. And next up, you have to answer that big, unspoken question that's on every reader's mind. So what? Why did I just spend my time reading this? This is where you justify their attention and show them the payoff. Naming the stakes makes the consequences crystal clear. So with our burnout example, right? If we define it as a personal failure, well, that protects the broken systems that cause it. But if we define it correctly as a systemic issue, that opens up a real possibility for changing those broken systems. You're showing the real-world impact of an idea. And finally, you bring it all home. You connect to the reader's world and leave them with a new perspective, not a homework assignment. The weak version here is just preachy. It's telling people what to do. But the strong version, it's an invitation. It shows what new questions and possibilities open up because of this new understanding. It empowers the reader to think for themselves, and that is way more powerful. Okay, so we've got our 4 core moves for a killer conclusion. But to really make sure they stick, let's do a quick lightning round on the other side of the coin. The common traps that can still sink your ending, even if you do everything else right. Think of this as your final don't do this checklist. Stay away from those empty cliches like at the end of the day. Don't just summarize, conclude. Tell us what it all means. Keep any new evidence in the body of your paper. Offer insight, not a sermon. And please, own your argument. Don't apologize for it. And finally, give your reader a sense of closure. Don't just stop. And it's good to remember that one size does not fit all. The kind of conclusion you write really needs to match the kind of essay you wrote. If it's a personal story, a reflective conclusion makes sense. But if you're trying to challenge a big, common belief, you need a reframing conclusion that hits it head on.
It's all about picking the right tool for the job. So, let's put this all together. Let's take a look at how these moves and principles work in the wild to turn a totally standard ending into something that genuinely matters.
We're going to break down a really strong conclusion about a topic I think we can all relate to: procrastination. As we go through it, watch for how those 4 core moves we talked about are all working together in one smooth, powerful paragraph.
See how perfectly this works? It starts by revisiting the main idea with that fresh insight. Procrastination isn't laziness, it's emotional avoidance. Boom. Then it immediately names the stakes. If we change the definition, we change the solution. It connects directly to the reader's world, especially students, offering them a way out of self-blame. And it ends with that empowering invitation, a new way to think about the real problem. Every single sentence has a job, and it does it perfectly.
And you know, that's really what it all comes down to. An essay that just informs you of something, well, it's easily forgotten. But an essay with a truly powerful conclusion, one that reframes your thinking, that clarifies the stakes, and offers a whole new way of seeing the world, that's an essay that matters. So next time you write, don't just end it. Conclude it. Show us why it was all worth it.